I initially worked for CARE International while I was a graduate student at Yale in the School of Public Health, and became very interested in water and sanitation. And then I returned to Niger as a Fulbright scholar and was conducting public health research all over Niger, rural Niger, focusing on water sanitation, but also HIV/AIDS, malaria, a lot of different health issues. And that's how I came upon the Azawak region, which is where I currently work. So when I first went to the Azawak, I grew up in West Africa. I grew up partly in Niger, but I had never been to this particular region, so it was completely new to me. And what struck me was that when I first entered the region, everybody I met, whether it was a local government official or whether it was a mother, would tell me the same thing: please help us have water. And to me, I was used to people asking me for help, having worked in the poorest parts of Niger. And so I just said, sure, I'm sure you have a water problem. I'm sure you don't have access to clean water. But then what I quickly realized, because I then lived for a month in camps and traveling with the nomads, was that not only did they not have access to clean water, but they didn't have access to water at all. And that completely blew me away. I had never seen an area where people were literally dying of thirst. These are people that are immediately affected by climate change today. These are people that for centuries and centuries have relied on the pastures of the land, because the rainy season used to last at least 5 months. So rain would collect in marshes, and the marshes would last several months, maybe last the entire year. The pasture lands would be beautiful, and so they had many, many animals. And what's happened is the rainy season has gone from 5 months to 3 months 3 years ago to 1 month this past year. And they've had to really adapt to their climate changing. But these are people who, since they can't access groundwater, live or die based on whether or not it rains. And that's something that they don't have control over. The first effect is that often during the driest part of the year, you have a child, say a little girl, who will get on her donkey at 4 or 5 in the morning and will travel to a very, very deep open well that hardly has any water in it. And she'll travel over 35 miles to reach this well. So she'll travel all day to this well, get there, and since there are about 25,000 animals and people at the same well trying to access water, she'll wait hours and hours. There'll be her turn. Or maybe the well will dry out, will have been dried, so she may have to travel another many, many hours to another well, hoping to find water there. She finally gets maybe a few gallons of water to bring home to her family. So 1 out of every 2 children die before reaching age 5. Out of those children that die, about 1/4 of those are dying due to water-related circumstances, whether it be dehydration or the little water that they have is usually contaminated, so they might die of diarrhea linked to the contaminated water. Those that survive are very hardy. But this means that they don't have any time at all for school because they're spending all day looking for water. So as I said, when I first traveled to this region, everybody asked me to help them have water. So it was very clear to me what they want, what they saw as their major problem. They told me, Ariane, if you bring us water, we will be able to have everything else. We will be able to have food. We will be able to have health. Just bring us water. They have a saying, Amman Imman ar isudar. Amman Imman means water is life. Ar Isudar means milk is hope. With water, we can have hope. And at first I told him, hey, I'm not a water expert. I'm a health expert. But what I can do is be your messenger. And so you can build a deep well, open well, that will not access aquifers, that will access rainwater that's seeped into the ground and really not be sustainable year-round. There won't be water after maybe 6 months. Or you can build a borehole, which is a very deep, closed well that accesses aquifers between 600 to 3,000 feet in the ground. And a 600-foot aquifer costs about $200,000. That includes all expenses. But you're also helping 25,000 people and animals. So if you make a cost-benefit analysis, it's really less. And a borehole can last more than 50 years, 50 to 100 years, if it's managed properly. The borehole was finished in June 2007. And since then, the community has actually flourished and grown. And so our ultimate goal is to build 50 of these boreholes, if not more, over the next 10 years, and have sort of oases spurred out of these communities where not only do they have water, but they have everything that we should all have access to and have our basic needs met, from what these communities can provide.